Hey guys, it's that time of week again. It is the NHL Power Rankings. It's week 15, and I'll get us started with pick 32. I've got the San Jose Sharks staying right where they left off last week.
Oh, no changes. No changes.
No, they did get the win today against the Anaheim Ducks, which sort of, raised some questions. But yeah, look, they had an okay week, in terms of they got uh, they got shut out against Buffalo. That's not the okay part, 3-0. But then they got a point out against Chicago in shootout, 1-2, and then they obviously got the win today against the Anaheim Ducks 5-3. So they get 3 points on the week overall. Um, but look, just their performances, even though they get the 3 points, I still don't think that they've done enough to warrant getting over the Ducks or Chicago. So yeah, they stay at 32 for me.
Yeah, easy. All right, my 31 team you mentioned, the Anaheim Ducks. Um, yeah, so they start off well. They get the OT win against Florida. On the back to back, they get shut out by Washington 2-0. And then obviously today they lose to the Sharks 5-3. They did hold them to 19. They still don't look good, but there's not too much more movement you could make between 30 and 32 for them. So it is where they are.
Yeah, like they moved down for that exact reason. Like they got the win against Florida, which is huge, but like you said, they don't look great. And then obviously losing to the Sharks today didn't make any things any better, but I don't quite think they're at 32 just yet. Um, all right, let's get on to 30. I have the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yep, easy.
Look, pretty good week for Chicago. In reality, they get the 2-1 win against the San Jose Sharks in shootout. They lose 3-0 to the Buffalo Sabres. Apparently, that's what they've got in common with the San Jose Sharks. But then they get a 4-3 win against New York Islanders. So, they get 4 out of 6 points on the week. They get a good win against the Islanders, and obviously get the job done against San Jose Sharks. So, pretty much, you can't ask for much more from them, especially a team that's playing pretty depleted right now, and they didn't exactly have an abundance of stars to begin with. So,
Mm.
yeah, really good week for them. Not much else to say, really.
Nah, 4 out of 6. Both times going to OT shootout, which is the concerning part. But they did get one on a back to back over the Islanders, which was good. Probably one of the reasons why they've now changed coaches. Alrighty. On to number 29. I have the Columbus Blue Jackets not moving.
Yeah, they don't move for me either, but I had them at 28 last week, and that's where they stay.
All right, so they start off the week shootout win against Vancouver, then the 1-4 loss against New Jersey, and those are the only two games they've played. So a good win against Vancouver, and just couldn't get it past New Jersey goaltender there in the second one. Look, they've always looked good. The results haven't been there. They get a good result, but only 2 games. It's hard to move on, especially how far down they've been. Um, they've put themselves anyway.
Exactly. No, I didn't move on them because even though they lost 4-1 to the Devils, it was really only that second period that they sort of lost control of the game. I thought they were quite competitive for the rest of it. And then obviously that good win. So a good week overall, even though it's only like 50-50 in the end.
Hmm.
Um, all right, 29. I've got the Ottawa Senators not moving.
Yeah, it's not moving for me either.
Yeah, look, yeah, I think did they go 500? Yeah, so they go 500 in the end. They get they get absolutely smacked by Colorado Avalanche 7-4. Then they smack Montreal 6-2.
They were
And then they
leading
get
that
an
game, I'm pretty sure, against Avs 4-2 as
against
well.
yeah. They conceded 5 goals straight
Mm.
to lose it. So That's very Ottawa Senator, though. And then the 6-2 Montreal win after losing 4-7 is very Ottawa Senator-like as well. So, yeah, it's a very Ottawa Senator week for the Ottawa Senators. Um, and then they obviously get the OT loss against Winnipeg. So, look, took it to a very good side, but again, and they did take it to Colorado for the first basically two periods, but they obviously got blown out in that third. It's just this is their season though. Like it's just the same story every week. We could pretty much just say the same thing about them in their little segment and
Yeah, just have a
just put
bubble
it on
next to them.
repeat.
Yeah.
Literally, just put it on repeat because it's just the same thing week in week out. So yeah,
Alrighty. 27, not moving. Minnesota Wild.
yeah, that's where I've got them.
So they had a decent week. They win against the Islanders, shutting them out 5-0. Only holding him to 21, having 21 shots conceded. Then they get smashed 7-3 on the scoreboard. And then on the back-to-back, they win against Florida 6-4. So a really topsy-turvy week in regards to results, ultimately coming out with a 4 out of 6 points. It was a good week. I just need to see more, honestly. They've been down for a while now. I think their last 10 still like 3-6-1, even with the 2 wins this week. So yeah, I probably just need to see another week before I can start moving again.
Don't think you want to get burnt by them again, right? Like they went on that nice run, and everyone thought we're like, oh, they're back, and then they came crashing back down. So it's like, no, we'll hold off. You need to have some sustenance behind your win streaks. But we'll see where they go. All right, 26 for me. I've got the Buffalo Sabres.
Not moving for me at 25.
Yeah, look, they've. It was just another one of those weeks. I think they had a reasonable week in terms of wins. They got a 3-0 win against San Jose Sharks. They get a 3-0 win against Chicago Blackhawks. And then they lose 3-1 to Tampa. So, what do you make of that? Like, at the end of the day, they play two of the bottom teams in the league. They get the wins, like they should. But then they come up against some, a top caliber side in Tampa. Yeah, you know, a good side in Tampa, and they lose. So again, it's same as Ottawa. It just seems to be the same story for Buffalo.
Yeah,
They'll win some games that they should win, and then they can't get the games that they need to win.
I always say
So
2 out of the 3 games they kept their teams under 20 shots, with Chicago at
mhm.
19 and Tampa with 16. But they still lost that game. But it was just a little commendable effort there.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I'm not denying that they played well against Tampa, but if they want their season to get back on track, they need to win those games. It's as simple as that.
26 for me. Montreal Canadiens, once again, no movement. Yeah, so they start off the week really strong, beat Colorado, beat New Jersey, going good. On the back to back, lose 6-2 to Ottawa, and then they get 9 forward by Boston with only having 21 shots. So it started off on a high, it ended out in the dumps. Concerned with how many goals they're conceding. I still think they're very competitive. Um, I still think they should be around like the 20 mark, but they just do things every now and then that makes them fall down to this 25, 26 area.
100%. Like you look at the start of their week, good win against Colorado, good win against New Jersey, and then they go and get smacked 2-6. Although I will say it is on a back-to-back,
Yes.
tough one. But still, they lose 2-6, and then they go and lose 4-9 against Boston after they were 3-all. Like, so that's the big thing. They concede 6 of the next 7 from that point. So, um, yeah, but look, they're a young team. They're developing. You're gonna have those growing pains. It's just good when you see the what they can do against good sides. When you see what they did against Colorado and how they played against New Jersey. So they're up and coming. I just think probably another year, maybe 2, of development away from being able to get that, the Boston and the Ottawa game out of their system. All right, 24 for me. I have the New York Islanders.
Oh, okay. They are. I have to actually look where they are for me. They are 22.
Oh, yeah. Look, new coach. So maybe it's going to change their season. But look, at the end of the day, not a good week for them. They got 5-0 by Minnesota Wild, 4-2 on the back-to-back against the Winnipeg Jets. They lose to the Chicago Blackhawks 3-4. I didn't actually end up seeing that game, but I swear I saw they won in OT, and then when I looked again, they lost in OT. So I don't know if they actually scored a goal and it got taken off the board, or if my mind's just playing tricks on me. But if someone can answer that, because I can't find the answer, I can't find out if it was. But if someone can answer in the comments whether New York Islanders scored an OT goal when it got disallowed, that would be great. Because I swear I saw 4-3 New York Islanders. Um, but yeah, like not a great week for them. I think they're something like 2-7-1 or something like that in their last 10. 2-6-2 in their last 10. Um, so yeah, it's not going too good for them. But again, new coach, some change coming in New York. Who knows where they'll go? Maybe they'll be able to turn their season around.
Alrighty. My 24. Not moving. Calgary Flames.
It's just one up for me. 23.
I feel like this team's playing good, just not getting results all the time. They 3-2 OT win. Arizona. Toronto, they lose by a goal in regulation, and then they verse Edmonton and lose by 2 goals in regulation, obviously. So, a pretty difficult week, all things considered, and they were in every game, which was promising. And I think their compete has definitely stepped up a level or two. It's just I would like to see a result more here or there in the positive. So that's the only thing holding me back from them.
See him go on a bit of a run. Put
Yeah,
together a 4, 5, 6 game
just a
win
few
streak.
weeks
I
of
think.
two wins, one
Yeah,
loss. Just a few weeks of
yeah,
that.
yeah. It would, and that's what they need because they're right there. They're over 500. They're still in the hunt. They've just got to have that next push. They've just got to have a couple of weeks of really solid results where they're coming out 7-3 in the last 10.
Mm.
Even though they are 6-4 in the last 10, they're not too far off. But yeah, they just need to take that next step, I think. All right, 22 for me. I have the Washington Capitals.
Alrighty, they're my 21.
Not too much of a difference there. Look, yeah, it was a better week for them after having a couple of down weeks. They get the 2-0 win against the Washington. Sorry, they lose 1-2 against the New York Rangers, and then they get the 2-0 shutout win against the Anaheim Ducks. 5-2 against St. Louis Blues with TJ Oshie scoring a hat trick. And then they got shut out today against the St. Louis Blues 3-0. So look, four out of the 8 points. Rangers, even though they are on a slide, very good side. They took it to the Rangers, and obviously they split the points against St. Louis Blues, another reasonably good team. Get the job done against the Ducks like you expect. I still don't know what to make of this team because they're still right in the hunt for a playoff spot. But I just don't see them doing it. I don't think they're good enough,
No, I'll
but
say the
they just
promising
have
thing is
tendency.
they only had one game that they conceded over 30 shots. Granted, one of them they conceded 29, but yeah, only. But my concern was none of their games they had over 30 shots, and I've seen that trend with them for a bit. I feel like, and watching them, I feel like a lot of the ice times in the center, and that's where it's played, and that's why they're low scoring games. But that's why they're not fully competitive as well because they're not hammering their opponents in the O zone. So only move up the one, primarily really on the Islanders slide there. 23 for me, the Arizona Coyotes. It's a team moving down a couple spots for me.
Down a couple of spots for me, but obviously I'm a bit higher on them. They're at 19 for me.
So they start off the week, OT loss against Calgary, They lose in regulation 2-1 to Vancouver, and then they beat Nashville Predators by a goal in regulation. So they go 500. Difficult week, all things considered, with Vancouver, Nashville, and Calgary is a very competitive team. I just feel like they've been 500 or less than 500 for probably a month now, and that's why they're just sliding for me. I think their last 10's 4-5-1, but yeah, that's why they've slid.
I mean, that's why they moved down for me as well. Another week at 500. So they probably will continue to move down this rankings board, but um, it just depends if they can turn it around or not. Not surprising. They've been competitive all year. I still think they are competitive. I just think they're getting to that point where they're going to fall off a little bit and eventually finish where we expect them to, probably around that 80 odd point mark, just back of the playoffs and wild card. All right, 21 for me. I have the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Okay, my 18.
Yeah, you're a bit higher on them, and you've moved up on them as well. Yeah, look, I could
Well, that's
justify moving them
Islanders,
up
but yeah.
there. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Like I could justify having them up there. I think, there's a lot of teams in this that we're going through right now that you could swap and change several positions and it would make sense. But yeah, Pittsburgh, I think they only played the 2 games this week. They get a 3-0 shutout of the Seattle Kraken, and then they lose today to the Vegas Golden Knights 2-3. So, look, split the points, go 500, but they were really competitive against Golden Knights. Had a 2-0 lead and obviously squandered it. They've been reasonably good as of late as well, but again, I feel like they're probably similar to Calgary in that sense. They need to go on a bit of a run because they seem to get a few wins and then they'll lose a few and then get a few wins and then lose. And just as you think they're gonna take that next step, they fall back.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
I just think their play's picked up over the last couple of weeks, and that's why I'm a little bit higher on them. But
Oh,
as you
it definitely
said, they're a
has.
team that needs to go on a run.
Yeah, it definitely has. You're 100% right, but they're still 5-4-1
Yeah,
over that period. So it's
exactly.
like their play's better, but it's not leading to stuff.
Mm.
So yeah, it's a hard one.
20 for me, St. Louis Blues.
That's
Uh,
something we can agree on.
moving down a couple. So they start off the week 4-2 loss against Philadelphia. Then they go and lose against Washington 5-2, but then they ended up beating Washington again 3-0. So it was a little bit of yo-yo. They keep Washington to 18 shots. All games pretty low shots, besides conceding 42 against Philly, who were just a different team this year. I still think they're really good. I still think they're very competitive, but it's just a little bit like Pittsburgh, but a little bit less now in a sense. Maybe closer to Washington, where they play well, but maybe not playing as well as they should be. And a little bit concerned that their season's sliding, if not slid away now.
Yeah, I always thought St. Louis were going to be a tough bet for a wild card spot. So I don't know if it's just a bit of that coming through. They're just not at the caliber that they need to be. But look, they're still very competitive, and they're still right in the hunt. So that's the main thing for them.
Mm,
Uh, all right, 18 for me. I have the New Jersey Devils sliding down.
that's my 19.
Oh yeah, do you know what? I could have dropped them a couple more positions as well after their week. Not great. Um, they lose. Oh, I can't even get that. They lose 3-0 to the Boston Bruins. 3-2 to the Montreal Canadiens, conceding a very late goal to lose in regulation. 4-1 to the Columbus Blue Jackets win, and then on the back-to-back, a 2-6 loss against the Dallas Stars, where they were 6-0 down at one point. On a night where they were honoring, a franchise legend in Sergei Brylin. So very disappointing for the New Jersey Devils. I don't know what to make of them. Every time you think they might be back, I know they're plagued at the moment. They obviously lost Smith and Siegenthaler in back-to-back games, and they're already without Hughes and Pilat, but it's just not good enough.
Nah, they've been
Today's
average
result.
all season, and I do think it's because of the coaching. You can only look at Nashville and how they've done this season with Brunette, and look what New Jersey did from last season to this season. So I think it's all Brunette, honestly, and it comes down to coaching. Uh, on to 17, I have the Tampa Bay Lightning.
See, I went big on these guys. I've
I could
enjoyed
have, but
what they've
I
done.
wouldn't say big, but I could have.
They're my 12.
Okay. So they beat
Mhm.
The reason why I haven't is because of the week they had. Two games, Minnesota Wild and Buffalo, two easier opponents. 7-3'd the Wild, as we said earlier, and then they 3-1'd Buffalo, but they only had the 16 shots, which is my concern. But so they move up. I think they won the last five. They are on a little run, but I still think it's a team that lacks a lot of depth, and it's relying on 1 to 2 players with the likes of Kucherov. And if that man goes down, this team goes down.
Yeah, look, you're right. You're 100% right. But also, whilst that man stands strong, this team has the potential to, to go for one for one last cup run, basically. Um,
I don't
so
think they have the
yeah,
depth for it, but yeah.
no, I do think it'll come undone as well. But all it takes for this team is Vasilevsky to get on a heater, Cooch, Point, Stamkos, to turn it on, and who knows. But yeah, look, they're playing some good hockey at the moment. They just don't go away this side.
Hmm.
All right, 17 for me. I have the Detroit Red Wings.
All right, they are my 14.
Yeah, see, you went harder on Detroit, and I went harder on Tampa this week. I
Uh,
cheated on
like
both of
I'm
them.
gonna say, like this middle pack is so close. I wouldn't
Yeah,
call it going hard. It's just the other
yeah,
teams below did not have good weeks.
yeah, yeah. And do you know what? I could have put Detroit in the top 16. I really could have, but and I actually really enjoy watching Detroit. They've been one of my favorite teams to watch this season. Probably bar a little stretch there where they were pretty ordinary. Um, It's just I don't know whether to jump back on the bandwagon for them. I don't know if they're back or if this is just another blip on the radar of
Hmm.
hey, we performed well for a little bit, and then fell back. But
Well,
when they're on, dude. Like
well,
they are so
they
good.
fought to Toronto. They beat Florida in OT. I wouldn't say competitive, but they still scored 2 goals and 12 shots against Carolina, um, and lose that game. But 4 out of 6 on 3 teams that are in our top 16 um, is pretty insane. So they are definitely on a run. I think they're like 7-2-1 or something like that. Yeah, 7-2-1 the last 10. So they're on a run. But
They keep it.
this team does runs. They're going to hot streak and a cold streak.
Yeah, exactly. But I hope they keep it, man, because like I said, they are so exciting to watch.
Hmm. Alrighty, my 16, I have just hanging on Seattle Kraken. Just hanging on a thread of their teeth. Um, they didn't win a game this week. They got shut out by Pittsburgh 3-0 on the back to back. They vs Rangers 5-2. So great scheduling there that they have to face the Rangers who aren't on a back to back. And then they face Edmonton and lose 4-2. So an extremely difficult week, and they come out with no results, but they have been competitive. They didn't really get blown out too much, and that Rangers game, I'm just going to throw to scheduling because of the NHL. So they hang on to the top 16, but they need to get some wins next week. Otherwise, they're out.
For sure, I agree with you. I think, if New Jersey didn't shit the bed, I was happy to go a little bit harder on Detroit. Seattle could definitely be pushed out of the top 16, but they hold on for a week anyway. Let's see what happens next week. But another team that's sort of just holding on by a thread in my top 16, I've got the LA Kings.
Yeah, they're my 15.
Yeah, look, a better week than what they've had lately for sure. But they still had some really interesting results. So they 5-2 Carolina Hurricanes. They get a win there. But then on the back-to-back against the Dallas Stars, they lose 1-5. But as you said, um, scheduling of the NHL. How's this? Dallas Stars get to play two teams on a back-to-back this week when they're not on a back-to-back. So, go figure. Um, and I don't think they had to play on a back-to-back, but that's another subject. Yeah, 5-1 loss to Dallas, 1-2 loss to Nashville, and then they get a 2-1 win against the New York Rangers today. So it's a good week because they did play some really tough opponents. They get 4 out of the 8 points at 500. So given the scheduling this week of their, how they came up and the quality of the opponent, it is a good week.
Mm.
It's just they've been that poor lately. I
Yeah,
did not want to move
it's
them.
hard. It's hard to move them. I only moved them because New Jersey and Islanders slid,
Mhm.
and that otherwise they were flat. They, like you said though, it's probably the hardest week of all the weeks for all the teams, most likely in regards to schedule. And they came out 500. They were competitive in the games they lost, so I was impressed. But because of how big the slide was, they have to, go 600 or above, percent in win percentage for me to really start moving them. Uh, on to 13 for me. I've got the Nashville Predators team we just mentioned. Just
Yeah, they're my 14, I believe.
just a tiny little slide. They lose 4-1 to Vegas. They win against LA 2-1, and then they lose by a goal 3-2 to Arizona in regulation. So all very close competitive games, and they were still in it in the Vegas game as well. That's what they've done all season. That's what Brunett's brought to this team for a roster that probably shouldn't be where they are. And it's kind of like the Philly story. You just get a good coach and you ride the wave. So they're doing great things. Just didn't get the results. That was all. That's why they moved down one.
I agree with you. All right, on to 13. I have the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, my 12.
Look, the only thing I'm going to say about these guys here on this is we've been talking them up as the regular season, you know, bullies basically. Like they smash everyone in the regular season. They have a great regular season. Well, they're not having a great regular season. So maybe they're trying a different tactic this year. Not have a great regular season so they can have a really good postseason. Um, but anyway, their week consisted of a 2-4 loss against the Detroit Red Wings, and then a couple of days later, another 2-4 loss against the Edmonton Oilers. Then a couple of days later, they get a 4-3 win against the Calgary Flames. And then a couple of days after that, a 4-6 loss against the Vancouver Canucks. So they go 1-3. But all in all, it's a pretty tough week in terms of the opponents that they came up against. Uh, but again, this is a team that should probably be doing a little bit better than 2 out of 8 points. Um,
Well, yeah, you
but
shouldn't have
yeah,
6 goals conceded on 21 shots in the Vancouver
no,
game. Yeah, look, they were competitive in the other games, but like you said, you got to get it done. And look, they lost to two out of three Canadian teams there, so they even lose bragging rights. But they have been on a little slide as of late.
yeah, they have, and I think that goaltending issue they've got at the moment. They still have the bottom six forward issue. So yeah, it's not all rays of sunshine for the Leafs at the moment, but we know they've got the firepower to turn it around.
All right, 11 for me, just outside the top 10, the Vegas Golden Knights. They had a good week this week. They lose to the Range. Sorry, wrong one. They beat Nashville. I know they went undefeated. I was like, wait, what? So they beat Nashville 4-1. They beat Rangers 5-1, and they beat Pittsburgh 3-2. All games in regulation, and extremely well done. I was a little bit concerned that they got outshot in the both games that they 4-1 and 5-1. But like I said, probably with LA, a really difficult week, maybe one of the most difficult. And they came out pretty much flawless. So yeah, they're on their way up. I still got my worries about them, but they are a team that I'm concerned if my team ever came up against them to verse.
Look, we know they're a solid side, but we have had our concerns obviously with the weakness of their draw. But look, bounce back week. Yeah, can't say anything negative about them.
Mm.
All right, start off my top 10. I have the New York Rangers.
Ooh, okay, you've done the same thing.
Oi, I was wondering how you'd go. Yeah, look, they continue to sort of have this slide of theirs continues a little bit. They get a 2-1 win against Washington Capitals. They then get a 5-2 win against Seattle Kraken. So a really good start to the week, but then they go and lose 5-1 to the Vegas Golden Knights, and they lose 2-1 to the Los Angeles Kings today. So, good start, poor finish. But yeah, look, it's hard. They're 3-6-1 in their last 10. They're on a little bit of a slide, especially from that team that for the first 35 games of the season or whatever, that was just basically almost impossible to beat. They were getting goaltending out of their wazoo. Everything was just going well for them. Yeah, but they just
Yeah,
you might have thought at the start of the week it would turn around, but yeah, sort of came crashing back at the end of the week. So not out of the slump yet, but I don't suspect they'll stay in this for too long.
yeah, it's a bit concerning, considering they're now third in the power rankings out of the Metro teams, so that is a bit of a slide, considering where they were at the start. On to number 9. Number 2 for me is Philadelphia Flyers for the Metro. And look, there's a team that just continues to overperform for what they should be doing. They beat St. Louis 4-2. They beat Dallas 5-1, and then they got 7 forward and lose that game to Colorado, even though they had 15 extra shots. So they're extremely competitive in every game. And look, I don't know what to make of this team. I think they could go all the way. Honestly, it really all it takes is some good coaching and a team that flows in the system. But I don't. We've said it multiple times. It's probably not the best thing for them. But we're gonna have to see if they can hold this out. They're past the halfway mark and they're in the top 16, so that's amazing.
Look, I mean, hey, if you win a cup and then go on a rebuild, that's the best thing for them. But the question is can they get there? They've got the goaltender for it. We know Hart at his best. And they I can't remember what their other guy is, but he's actually smashing it as well at the moment. Um, but yeah, look, the game against Dallas really impressive. They had 27 shots on goal to 3 against Dallas. Like
Mm.
that's that's how well they're playing at the moment. It's just phenomenal. Um, but yeah, again, it's that question of they said they were going on a rebuild at the start of the year, and now they're second best team in the Metro. Like it's it's a whirlwind of a season for them. But I guess we'll see if they choose to ride it or if they choose to potentially sell at the deadline.
All right.
All right, 9 for me is that team that they went 27-3 in shots on goal is the Dallas Stars. Yeah, I had to jump Philly just because of that game. They just played so well. But yeah, that's Dallas this week. They 5-1 win against the Los Angeles Kings. They have that 5-1 loss against the Philadelphia Flyers where they were absolutely dominated. And then they get the 6-2 win against the New Jersey Devils. So they get 4 out of 6 points. The one thing I will say about this is the 2 games that they did win, they were playing teams on back-to-backs. Um, so make of that what you will. So I didn't play into too much of those wins because of how it happened. But that domination from the Flyers, I'm not gonna make too much of it. But yeah, at the end of the day, um, yeah, it's hard because they have 2 really good wins, but then they get absolutely dominated. So
Yeah, that's why they don't move for me either.
yeah, they're
Uh,
just one of those teams.
On to 7. Team moving down a bit. Florida Panthers. Just they're still playing well. Just poor a week. Don't get a win. OT lose against Anaheim. 5-4. Then they OT lose against Detroit. then they go and lose in regulation 6-4 to Minnesota Wild. So honestly, probably one of the easier weeks, considering all the teams we've gone through so far, and they didn't get the results. They get 2 out of 6 points, but yeah, I'm just a little bit disappointed for how easier of the week was compared to other teams we've talked about, and they really shown. So they had to be punished, considering how also the rest of the top 10 did.
I moved them down 3 as well. I just didn't move them down as far, but yeah, you're right. After going 9 straight wins to have those 3 straight losses, it's pretty rough. At number 7, I've got the Colorado Avalanche.
All right, moving down for me to 5.
Yeah, look, they move a little bit for me. They have a bit of a topsy-turvy week. 3-4 loss against Montreal. Then they get the 7-4 win against Ottawa. 2-5 loss against Boston, and then they get the 7-4 win against the Flyers. So it's a very up and down week from them. I just, that loss against Montreal probably played a little bit on the decision because I could have moved them above Florida, but I sort of kept them steady because I didn't really think Colorado's week was that great either. So yeah, a little bit of a slip from them, but they're still a very powerful side as they
Yeah,
showed today, beating an informed Philadelphia.
yeah, they're getting topsy-turvy goaltending, and they're doing a bit too many come from the back wins, which I don't like. They'll go down 4-2, then win 7-4. They've done that 2 or 3 times recently, so I'm a little bit concerned about that. But yeah, I only moved down the 1 for me as number 6 for me. Just who was behind them also last week was Carolina Hurricanes, and they didn't have. I think they only had the 2 games this week, so it's hard to gauge. They 5-2 lose to LA, and then they beat Detroit 4-2, keeping Detroit to 12 shots. So yeah, only 2 games, a win and a loss. 2 teams that have been playing well as well, and keeping Detroit down to 12 shots is really good. But they moved down just because of other teams and how they're playing, not really how they had their week.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, hit it on the head with that one. Number 4 for me, I have the Boston Bruins.
My number 3.
Hey, look, they're still the only team that doesn't have double digits in regulation losses this year. They were the only team last year. They're still the only team this year. Like yeah, I just don't know what to make of this team. They had another really good week. They slid a bit there, but they bounced back really well. New Jersey Devils 3-0 win, Colorado Avalanche 5-2 win, and then the Montreal Canadiens 9-4 today. So, they outscore their opponents 17-6 this week. They outshoot them 103-84. So, like, yeah, just overall a fantastic week for them. They won't go away. They're still second in the standings in the NHL. They've won their last 4 games. This team,
One of the 3 teams to be over 700% win percentage, which they've been
oh,
for a long time as well.
exactly. You could
It's
just
because
go on and on about how good this team is.
It's because their losses are in OT. That's it. Like they had 9. I think they're the second highest besides OT Kings in Islanders, and I mean OT Kings as in losing in OT. So that's why
Yeah,
they are where they are. But being competitive, that's what earns you that.
but even still with that, like you can go in that and say, yep, cool. They're still fourth,
S- Yeah, they're still
equal fourth in total losses for the year, even if you take away the OT
yes.
points. So they're still playing stupidly good hockey. And look, and a big part of that is they're getting good goaltending. They've got good structure. So yeah, look, they're a well-oiled team, and they're gonna be a playoff beast again. And I dare say they're gonna be hoping to turn around that last season's first round exit.
Alrighty. Well, we're speaking of well-oiled teams. Edmonton Oilers at number 4.
I wouldn't say well-oiled, but I see what you did there.
Yeah. You get me, you get me. So they beat Toronto 4-2. They beat Seattle 4-2, and then they beat Calgary 3-1. So beat two Canadian teams there. Get those bragging rights. They beat Seattle, who had a downer of a week. Great week. All things considered, they get the results. Was the win streaks down now to 13? Obviously, 10 wins in the last 10. And look, they've been very strong. Still have a couple flaws with their team, but it's being overshadowed just by just putting up some really good numbers in regards to the goal frontage, and easily top four. If they didn't have a horrible start to the season, they'd probably be number one or roundabout.
Yeah.
But that's just how it works.
And I think I read somewhere that they became the first Canadian team to win 13 games in a row. So that's huge. That's a massive stat, and
Well,
like
I know.
13 games in a row
Hmm. Well, I know
is
Jets is
ridiculous.
two games away from breaking their record. They're going for as well.
Yeah. So yeah, look, Canadian. It's red
Eh,
hot for Canadian
oh
teams
yeah,
this
man.
year.
If you're in Canada or just a Canadian fan, you'd be loving life right now for hockey.
Oh, exactly. And we know the next two are both Canadian teams as well. So three in the top four for you, and three of the top three for me are all Canadian teams. So yeah, absolutely incredible performances by them at the moment. But let's move on to number two. I have the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, I didn't make a move.
They remain your number one. Yeah, look, I think from them and the Jets, they're both playing really well. But they start off a bit rough this week. 3-4 shootout loss to Columbus. But Columbus can do that to you. They get a 2-1 win against Arizona and a 6-4 win against Toronto. So 5 out of 6 points. As I said, Columbus can do that to you. They're not a bad side. Their ranking on the standings is worse than they actually perform. So I don't consider that a bad loss at all. But yeah, look, they just don't go away either. This is another team that people were just expecting to have a hot start and then fall away, similar to Boston. It's not happening. They seem playoff bound. They'd have to have some sort of just collapse for the rest of the season to not make playoffs. So, yeah, they're wonderful to watch.
And number two, obviously, Winnipeg Jets. I didn't make moves this week purely because I think both had little hiccups, and so that's why I didn't make any moves. But Jets 4-2 win against Islanders, and then the OT win against Ottawa. So the hiccup for me was going to OT against Ottawa. Obviously, Vancouver shootout loss, and only having the 21 shots against Toronto. But two games, it's hard to gauge too much from it. They're two games away now from keeping teams under 3 goals record, or three or under, whatever it is. So if they get two more, then they break that record. So Jets are hopefully getting a record. Oilers did get a record. Canucks being number one power rankings for me and maybe some other people is probably some other record. So it's yeah, insane season. Could not predict this.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like it's one if you're a Canadian fan, like it's a lot of people in Canada have been going, I don't care if it's even my team that wins it, just bring the cup back to Canada. Um, and this might be the best chance that Canada's had in a long time for that to be the case because they've got three really solid contending teams at the moment.
All right. Well, I guess we'll end it there. So don't forget to like the video, comment below what you think of our power rankings, and leave your power rankings list as well. And subscribe to the channel and leave all notifications on. But till next time, we'll catch you guys.